Welcome everyone to the Honest Review. I am Airbear. Today we're going to be having a look at pre-built gaming PCs, just really pre-built high-end PCs in general, and whether or not they are worth the bang for your buck. I personally decided it was time for me to join the PC master race as far as gaming goes, and also all of this 4K footage as far as editing in Adobe Premiere and After Effects was really taxing on my old Asus laptop, and I needed to step it up, get a better graphics card and CPU going, and really just step into a desktop build as far as a higher end desktop build. So when it comes to stepping into high-end PCs, you do have that option to go ahead and part pick. There are a lot of companies that allow you to specifically pick all of your components, and then you can have it assembled and shipped out to you, or you could just order it yourself from various websites if you're trying to catch a bargain. And that somewhat becomes a hassle, so a lot of people go with a builder as far as like NZXT, iBuyPower, or CYBERPOWERPC. All of these guys offer that option to just pick out all of your components. But you will notice that it seems like you can get somewhat of a discount if you go with a pre-built configuration from these guys. Honestly, there's a plethora of pre-builders out there that just pre-build PCs and have them ready to go, and I'm going to be showing you where some of those components that are put into these pre-builds are somewhat lacking and not high-end, and where you are getting kind of skimped as far as the quality of your build and the future components that you're going to want to upgrade in a pre-built PC. So before we go any further, I want to make sure that you all know we have two active giveaways running on the channel right now. One on a Zim Apex, be giving this away on our Twitch channel at 55k subscribers, and then also a BattleBeaver custom controller at 60k subscribers. All the socials will be in the description below, and yes, the lucky winners are just that, lucky winners, completely random people in the chat. Best of luck to whoever wins. And guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. I do greatly appreciate everyone who supports the channel. You freaking rock. Now let's get into this build. By the way, CyberPower has no idea that I'm making this review whatsoever. I have no affiliate links, I have no discount codes, none of that. They have absolutely no idea that I'm doing this. I paid for this PC myself, and I'm gonna give you guys my honest opinion and pretty much expose where you are skimped whenever you purchase a pre-built PC. So the CYBERPOWERPC that I ended up going with was actually through Amazon. It was originally listed for $1,879, but was dropped down to $1,620. Kind of suspicious. That's a pretty huge price drop right there. Now, as far as the promised components in this build, it is an Intel i9-9900K, an Nvidia RTX 2070, 16 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM, a 1 terabyte SSD. It's also listed as Supreme water cooled. And yeah, it comes with Windows 10, which I mean, I guess that's always a bonus. So the PC showed up, nicely packaged, absolutely no damage, perfect foam inserts to make sure that this case was protected. There was also a foam pillow on the inside to protect all of the internals as well. I did plan ahead and order a Western Digital Black 4 terabyte. So I opened up the back to install that, and it looked like a freaking rat's nest. My next issue was the fan setup. All of the fans in this configuration, when I received it, were set to exhaust. I was shocked. I was like, this is not how PCs are built. There are fans that do intake and fans that do exhaust. That way we have flow throughout the case. And it was just set up wrong. I actually went back and checked in the reviews, and then I found a few people who said that they had the same issue, but then when I looked at the picture, I realized that the fans were actually configured wrong in the picture, the listing for this pre-built. So my next concern was the motherboard. I know it's a Z390 for the 8th and 9th gen Intel chips, but this is an ASRock Phantom Gaming 4. So anyone who's looked up best motherboards for Intel 8th and 9th gen chips knows that this specific motherboard is literally warned to be avoided like the plague. And the reason you are warned to stay away from this is that it is the entry-level, utmost budget motherboard for the 8th and 9th gen Intel chips. I cannot advise overclocking your CPU whatsoever on this motherboard. Now, the retail price on this motherboard is about 110 to 125 bucks. That's a ballpark that you can find it at. A lot of people know that if you spend just an extra 50 to 60 bucks, you can get an excellent motherboard from the likes of Asus, MSI, or Gigabyte. They all have awesome motherboards at that $160 to $180 price range. But I'm not going to knock CyberPower too hard for this because pretty much all of the pre-builders out there revert to this for the 8th and 9th gen Intel CPUs. Even NZXT Builder defaults you at this motherboard, and then you will pay extra if you want to upgrade from it. So this was one of the first things on the list that I decided I would have to upgrade at a later point in time. So now on to the Nvidia RTX 2070 graphics card. The model that I received was a Zotac, and it was the blower model. So not the triple fan configuration, not the dual fan configuration, not the mini, the blower model Zotac that retails for $499.99. There's a big difference in these triple fan configuration and dual fan configuration graphics cards, and when you finally step down to the blower model, you'll realize that it has lower clock speeds, that you get earlier throttling on your performance to try to maintain healthy temperatures in this graphics card. What I'm really saying is that it is cheaper for a reason. It is not the lowest of the low as far as RTX 2070s, but it is the lowest of the low from the Zotac models. So blower models like this do serve a purpose in compact builds like MATX builds, etc. if you are working with a smaller workspace or a smaller case, but having a smaller graphics card like this in a mid-size to full-size ATX case is just pretty much a cop-out. It's a way to skimp on the price. Now don't get me wrong, it does perform very well. I can actually play a game on high graphics settings, run OBS at the same time with 2 different monitors set up, catch 144 frames no problem, and run my stream. Really impressed to have all that happening at once, and there's not a hiccup, but it does run very hot. Even when I stress test this thing, it runs hot. And no, it does not like overclocking whatsoever. I can do some very, very minor overclocking on this graphics card. She doesn't cool down well whatsoever. The Intel i9-9900K is absolutely amazing. I don't trust overclocking it on this motherboard, but it is performing stellar, no problem. It was installed properly. Everyone knows that this CPU is absolutely beastly. The retail on the i9-9900K is $485. Okay, the provided RAM was definitely not G-Skill like it was pictured, but we knew that. What was promised was actually 16 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM, which we did receive. We got some Gale Evo Potenza 2666. Now it's not very bad RAM and it's not very good RAM. It's just a happy middle ground. I'm pleased with it. It works fine so far. And the retail price on this RAM is about $76. The provided 1TB SSD was a familiar face. I was happy to see Western Digital in this build. It was a Western Digital Blue, but the cost of a 1TB Western Digital Blue SSD is about $110. Now the provided fans in this build are actually from Apevia. Hope that I pronounced that right. So these fans come in a kit of 4. They're about $30 for this 4-fan kit. It is RGB controlled. Now these lights don't plug directly into the motherboard. There's an RGB controller in the back side of this build. It has a wireless remote, which works pretty well. These are pretty cheap fans and they are pretty loud, and also from the moment that I turn on my build, I can't control the speeds because this RGB controller that goes to all of these fans is just on full blast the moment that I turn on the PC, because it's not controlled or moderated by my motherboard. It is strictly plugged into the power supply. So if I ever wanted to control the fan speeds, I would have to invest a little bit more money into a controller that I could moderate those with. I really have to count that as a downside to this build. So the included AIO cooler was a 120mm cooler from Asetek. That is absolutely no surprise. This is definitely a name brand. It's actually the company that has been dominating the cooler market as far as AIO coolers for quite some time. It doesn't matter if you're getting a cooler from Cooler Master or Thermaltake or NZXT or any of these guys. So what all of these AIO cooler companies are really doing is putting their fans on top of this Asetek radiator. So this particular kit comes from Asetek for about $35. It does not include any fans, so what CyberPower did was mount the 2 extra fans to this radiator. So both of the fans are set to exhaust out here at the rear, and they are sandwiching that radiator. It's performing pretty well. I've done some benchmarks. It keeps my CPU very cool, no problem. Now the power supply in this unit is from Apevia. Again, this is an 800 watt 80 plus gold, and the retail price on this when I looked it up was $65. So all of these name brand companies out there who have PSUs out with about the same wattage and 80 plus gold thread are always 100 plus no problem. So I am somewhat scared because there are literally no reviews for this PSU, and the average name brand PSU at this same power range is 100 plus. I looked up this particular power supply on Reddit and was warned right away that this is a computer killer and to get it out of my build as soon as possible, because this is definitely not a reputable company and they are not watching their quality control. Yeah, that definitely scares me. Now, I'm not sure who manufactures this case in particular. I do think that this is an older CYBERPOWERPC case. I don't think that this case averages cost-wise anything over 50 to 60 bucks. It actually reminds me of a knockoff NZXT H500, just somewhat reminiscent of it. But this case is actually lacking in a lot of ways. I don't have a lot of room for expansion. I don't have room for larger fans or larger radiators. I am just limited to where I'm at right now, and I can't really make this very much better whatsoever. So on a funny note, when I spoke to a representative from CyberPower, I let him know right away, hey, the wiring in the case was actually really messy and not tied up well. It looked kind of like a rat's nest. I did get some apologies there. And then also let him know that the fan configuration was completely wrong, that everything was set to an exhaust. Now, I did voice my opinion with them as far as me having to take the time to disassemble and reassemble this PC, and that's why I bought it, because it's pre-built, ready to go out of the box, and I shouldn't have any frustration or problems. You know, I did voice to him that the blower models of all the RTX 2070s and 2080s are just dreaded because they don't handle high temps and high loads very well for extended durations, and running your graphics card at very high temperatures for extended durations of time actually hurts the lifespan of your graphics card. I also let them know that this lower end model has lower clock speeds and can't be overclocked very well, at least safely it can't be overclocked very well. And also that it just will never perform as good as a full-size dual fan or triple fan configuration RTX 2070. To this he told me, no, this is an excellent graphics card, sir, and it will do all the things that the other graphics cards out there can do. They have the same chip in there, the same motherboard in there. This graphics card is the same as all of its big brethren. It was about 5 minutes later that he realized I wasn't an idiot and admitted that yes, it operates off of a lower base clock speed, that it isn't capable of much overclocking, and that it doesn't handle high loads for long durations of time, and that you will get throttling on performance upon high temperatures. Yeah, nice try, buddy. You tried. So as far as cost to performance, everything that I needed to get done with this build really related to me stepping into PC gaming, wanting to be able to stream with this build and game at the same time, and also shorten up my render times, just make all of my video editing much more fluid as far as the experience that I've been having from my old laptop. I am really happy with its performance, but I know that I'm being skimped and could be doing better with the components that I have in it if I had a better motherboard and possibly some better options of expansion in the case for better cooling. Now, I did price out what I would want if I wanted to have a liquid cooled CPU and have the same graphics card and have the same chipset as far as the CPU and have the fan configuration that I wanted and the case that I wanted, and it was well up into 2,000 to 2,200 bucks. So by going with this pre-built configuration, I get most of the performance, if not all the performance, that I wanted out of the build that I would have ordered, but I did get skimped as far as quality on some of the components, but it does handle the load. It does perform and get the job done. Yeah, please don't get me wrong. This thing's a stallion and has taken every beating that I have thrown at it. And I'm definitely surprised because I read on the back of the PC right away that it is assembled from tested components, but the completed system is not tested. I don't like to hear that the completed unit was not tested. That means that I could get an improperly assembled unit, no problem, and it would just be a, oh well, we don't test our units. Now, I did add up all the components in this case as far as retail value. I know CyberPower and all of the other pre-builders out there are pretty much buying all their stuff in bulk. I get that. That's how money's made. That's how production works. But I have to take this from a consumer standpoint. If I had to go independently buy all the parts that are in this PC right now, what would it cost me? And also I have to factor in the assembly as well. But I figured if I had to order all of these parts independently, myself, pick them all out, have them all show up, assemble this PC myself, am I saving time by having ordered this pre-built? And the answer is yes. It was really zero headache for me. I just clicked proceed checkout and boom, This guy was here in 2 days and it was plug and play as advertised. She just booted right up and was ready to perform. And I do have to note that pre-builds definitely hold a place for people who don't have all of their money ready to go for their build, because you can do payment options through Affirm, through a lot of the pre-builders out there, and also Amazon's allowing payment options on CyberPowers right now as well. But again, I need your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. Do you think pre-builds hold a valuable place in the market for people, especially people just stepping into PC gaming, or people who need a pre-built ready to go build right away and realize what they're doing and what they're stepping into? Again, guys, don't forget the giveaways. 55K subscribers, giving away a Zim Apex, and then at 60K subscribers, giving away a BattleBeaverCustoms controller. All this is happening on Twitch. Socials will be in the description below. I do hope that this review has helped you. If it has, like I said before, please make sure to like and subscribe the video. It always helps us grow. And I do hope that I've helped you make an educated decision and know what you're stepping into if you're going into just pre-builds and you're not personally picking out all of your parts that you want in your build. But besides that, yeah, I think that's it. I hope to see you all in the next one. Peace.